Okay, welcome to day 2 of sourdough. Day 2 is the best day because we get to eat the bread, right? Yeah. So I start by preheating my oven to 475. Whenever works for you, there's no set time to it. They can be in the fridge again for like 48 hours. So this is just what works for me. Usually we're home in the morning, and so if we're home in the morning, I start the oven around 10:30, 11 o'clock. And I put my Dutch ovens in so they can preheat. So for 20 to 30 minutes, these guys sit in the oven just to get fully warm before I start baking them, because you don't want your bread going into a cold Dutch oven. So when I put these in, I pull the bannetons out of the fridge, and I'll show you these. I just set them both on the counter, or if I'm only baking one, then I just bring one out. But this is kind of what they look like now. They're caked in the rice flour, and they've cooled overnight.
Take those out.
Yep, we'll take them out in just a minute. They've cooled overnight, so I set those on the counter so they can come to room temperature as I'm putting these in the oven. Okay, so get your bread ready. I have my parchment paper laid out here, and just turn it over. It just comes out really easily, and I lay it on the length of the bread. And I've seen people cut crazy cool designs in there. I am just doing a simple one. You can kind of watch as I do this. So I cut in a straight line, a bunch of different slits on the top, and then mirror that on the other side. Kind of ends up looking like a bunch of little leaves. And then what I learned recently is you have to make a really deep side cut, so you know your bread wants to open up, but you don't want it to ruin your design on top. So I do a really deep cut on the side just to make sure that's where the bread's going to open up. And then I usually either add another cut on this side, or maybe I'll just do some more little leaf designs there. So I'm gonna go pop this in the Dutch oven once I get that on the stove. Okay, grabbing the Dutch oven out. Careful, it's hot. So I take the lid off, grab my parchment sling, and just kind of nestle the dough right in there. And then I actually have a cup of water that I pour inside the Dutch oven, outside the parchment, so that it kind of steams the dough as it's cooking. And then I put the lid back on and pop this loaf in the oven with the lid on for 30 minutes. And then you repeat with your other one. Time to open up the oven, take the lid off. So I'll show you what I'm working with here. This is at 30 minutes with the lid on. 30 minutes with the lid on. I'm put them back in. Set the timer for another 12 to 15. Okay, it's time. Here's one loaf. And here's the other one. Turned out pretty well. So I let these sit in the Dutch ovens for about 10 minutes to just kind of cool down. Okay, so now it's time to cut it and eat it. So I have a whole loaf here. I was cutting it for a long time by just sawing slices out of it. That's super hard. So I have a cutting hack for sourdough. So I cut it in half, then I cut that half in half, and then I cut slices off of that half. So you take the shortest end of the bread and just kind of saw into it that way. I also have an electric knife, but that's kind of loud and messy sometimes. I don't always like to get that out. But Parker is going to test the bread and tell me how he thinks it turned out.
I test it.
Yeah.
I don't want it.
You don't want that bread? You want a big piece? Okay.
I'll take a little.
Want this piece? What do you think, guys?
Good.
Yum?
The bread's amazing.
Yay.